Hello viewer, I'm Father Lokk. Please subscribe and enjoy the programs.
This is the life. Nothing beats a night like this.
Brandon bit into his slice of pepperoni pizza, mumbling through a mouthful of cheesy goodness. The flavors exploded in his mouth, a perfect blend of savory and spicy. Charon nodded in agreement, his eyes glued to the TV screen where a virtual car chase was playing out in Grand Theft Auto Vi. The intensity of the game had everyone on the edge of their seats. Hip-hop blasted from the speakers, filling Charon's bedroom with a pulsating rhythm. The beats seemed to sync with their heartbeats, creating an electrifying atmosphere. Empty pizza boxes lay scattered on the floor, casualties of their late-night feast. Each box told a story of laughter, shared moments, and the joy of being together. The scent of pepperoni and extra cheese lingered in the air, a testament to their epic gaming session. It was a smell that would forever remind them of nights like these.
Yo, let me drop a beat. This one's gonna be fire.
Brandon said, suddenly inspired. His eyes lit up with excitement as he grabbed the mic. He cleared his throat and launched into a freestyle rap, his words flowing with surprising ease. The room fell silent, everyone captivated by his spontaneous performance. His words painted vivid pictures, each line more impressive than the last. It was as if he had been practicing for this moment his entire life. Charon chuckled, shaking his head at his friend's antics. He couldn't help but admire Brandon's confidence and creativity. The night was young, the mood was light, and fear was the furthest thing from their minds. They were lost in the moment, enjoying every second of it. Little did they know the night was about to take a terrifying turn. The carefree atmosphere was about to be shattered by an unexpected twist. Charon paused the game, a mischievous glint in his eye.
Dude, check this out!
He exclaimed, disappearing into his closet. Brandon raised an eyebrow, curious. What could Charon possibly have in store now? Charon emerged from the closet, a dusty wooden box clutched in his hands. He placed it on the floor with a thud.
My brother left this here last week. Let's give it a go.
Brandon's eyes widened in horror as Charon lifted the lid of the box. He recognized the object instantly. A Ouija board. His heart pounded in his chest.
No way, man, not that thing. It's bad news.
But Charon was already pulling out the planchette, a sly smile playing on his lips.
Don't be such a scaredy cat.
Charon chuckled, placing the planchette on the board. He flicked off the lights, plunging the room into darkness. The only light source came from the 4 flickering candles Charon had strategically placed around the Ouija board. Shadows danced menacingly on the walls, twisting and turning in the flickering candlelight. Brandon felt a shiver run down his spine. He hated the dark. He hated this game even more. Charon's face was illuminated by the candlelight, his eyes gleaming with a mixture of excitement and apprehension.
Come on, man, just one question.
He pleaded, his voice barely a whisper. Brandon hesitated, his better judgment battling against his curiosity. Against his better judgment, he reluctantly placed his fingertips on the planchette. The air grew thick with anticipation, a palpable tension that seemed to press down on everyone in the room. Brandon could hear his own heart pounding in his ears, each beat echoing like a drum in the silence. He wished he had never agreed to this, regretting every moment that led him to this point. The flickering candlelight cast grotesque shadows on the wall, making him jump at every little flicker. The room seemed alive with unseen forces.
Ouija, are you there? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper.
Charon asked, his voice trembling slightly, betraying the fear he tried to hide. The planchette remained stubbornly still, as if mocking their fear and anticipation. Brandon held his breath, his gaze fixed on the board. willing it to move, yet dreading what it might reveal. Suddenly, the planchette jerked to life, sliding across the board with surprising speed, as if guided by an unseen hand. Brandon's breath caught in his throat, a gasp escaping his lips. He watched in horrified fascination as the planchette spelled out a single chilling word. Yes. The room seemed to grow colder.
This is insane, he muttered, his voice tinged with disbelief and fear.
Brandon whispered, his voice laced with fear. But Charon was undeterred, his curiosity overpowering his fear. He leaned closer to the board, his eyes bright with excitement, eager to ask the next question.
Okay, Ouija, when will I die? He asked, his voice steady but filled with a morbid curiosity.
The planchette moved with a swiftness that startled both boys. It darted across the board, stopping briefly at each letter, spelling out a single terrifying word, N-O-W. At that moment, the candles flickered violently and went out, plunging the room into absolute darkness. A blood-curdling scream shattered the silence. Brandon fumbled for his phone, his heart hammering in his chest. A monstrous shape began to emerge from the shadows, its eyes glowing with an eerie, otherworldly light. It towered over them, a grotesque silhouette against the faint moonlight filtering through the window. Brandon could hear Charon's terrified screams, the sounds muffled as if something was trying to stifle them. He wanted to help his friend, to fight back, but terror rooted him to the spot. The stench of decay filled the air, choking Brandon. The foul odor was so overpowering that it made his eyes water and his stomach churn. He could barely breathe, each inhalation a struggle against the putrid atmosphere. He could hear the sickening sound of tearing flesh, of bones snapping. The grotesque noises seemed to echo off the walls, amplifying the horror. It was as if the house itself was alive, feeding off the terror it inflicted. He squeezed his eyes shut, unable to bear the horrific scene unfolding before him. His mind raced, trying to block out the gruesome images that threatened to overwhelm him. He wished he could unsee what he had just witnessed. He had to get out of there. The need to escape was a primal instinct, a desperate urge to survive. Every fiber of his being screamed at him to run, to find a way out of this nightmare. He scrambled to his feet, his hands blindly searching for the doorknob. His fingers brushed against the rough, splintered wood of the door, but he couldn't find the handle. Panic began to set in. His fingers closed around something cold and metallic. Relief surged through him for a brief moment, but it was short-lived. He twisted the knob, but the door wouldn't budge. It was locked. The realization hit him like a punch to the gut. He was trapped in this hellish place. Panic surged through him, cold and sharp. His heart raced, and his breaths came in short, ragged gasps. He felt the walls closing in on him, the darkness pressing down. He rattled the doorknob, his heart pounding against his ribs. He was trapped. The reality of his situation was sinking in, and it was terrifying. Trapped with whatever had emerged from the Ouija board. The sinister presence that had been summoned was now lurking in the shadows, waiting. Trapped with the thing that was now tearing his best friend apart. The sounds of the struggle were gut-wrenching, and Brandon felt helpless. A guttural growl echoed through the darkness, sending chills down Brandon's spine. He was next. The realization that he might not make it out alive was paralyzing. Thanks for tuning in to this eerie tale from the mind of Father Lokk and Father Lokk's Horror House. Welcome to the family, all new subscribers. It's an honor to call you a Lokk. Please subscribe and hit your notification bell if you haven't already. Be safe out there. And in the words of Father Lokk, always remember and always know that he loved y'all. Bye, family.